A lot of our videos may be like this. This one is picking up pretty much where the last one left off, and they'll be in that order on FOL. So we're hoping you just watched the previous video having to do with the snipping tool and taking screenshots. Okay, when we're hoping you understood why we stress that this is a really good tool to have, especially when you're trying to provide people instructions for an online course and you need to point certain things out. You can take little pictures of those things and point an arrow at them and say, here, see what I'm looking at, see what I'm trying to explain in my instructions, there it is. Okay, so that's what we're doing in here. We're going to enhance a snip or a screenshot using Photoshop. Now, hold up, guys, how the heck are we supposed to have Photoshop? Well, according to the college's recent rollout, we all get to have Photoshop now, okay? The entire master collection. You just need to go down and get it at the help desk, okay? So this is still going to be beginner level. Even though we're using Photoshop, we're going to keep things simple, okay? Duration size is going to be small, and we're going to crop an image in Photoshop. We're going to add an arrow, and we're also going to get a screenshot in there. That's actually the one we're going to crop, so it's not always in this exact order. Tips from the pros: just because you can do a million things with Photoshop doesn't mean it's hard to learn just to do one thing. So what I'm going to try and teach you here is just to do one thing. Just enhance a screenshot or a snippet. You're not going nuts with it. You're not doing crazy stuff. We'll have more Photoshop tutorials at the intermediate level. But this one I wanted to make sure you guys got a handle on because it can be really useful for online learning. So the example that I had, that I pulled the snippet from, okay, I've already opened up in Photoshop. So I have Photoshop CS5. It's part of the master collection because I got the whole thing installed here. So I've opened up Photoshop, file, open. Okay, not too tough. Remember, I saved it on the desktop. It was called, what do we call it? Grade Transfer Snip. So I've got it up there now, okay? And I've drawn this little arrow there. That's all I wanted to add to this. I'm not going to make it any more complicated like that than that. You could turn the arrow if you right click and go to free transform, and then you can start, if you get your mouse just in the right spot there, you can start to turn it and move it. I'm actually not going to get into that. I just want to show you guys how to get the arrow on the thing, and then you resave as a JPEG. Okay, so I'm going to step back to the point where I didn't have the arrow. Okay, so when you open it up, it's just a JPEG, just like this. All right. Arrows, lines, little weird kind of things like that will be down here in this menu. If you haven't used it yet, it'll show a little box, okay, because it shows the last thing you pulled from this menu. When I click my mouse, if I hold the click down, that's what brings up the rest of the menu, because each of these, there's more going on than just the eraser here. Look, see, there's other stuff, but you got to hold your mouse down to see it. I'm going to go to the custom shape tool, and then I'm going to go over the image, and I'm going to right click, okay? After right clicking, I'm going to pick an arrow that you can see all kinds of stuff in here. There's like a copyright symbol, stuff like that. So I'm fine with the size of it. You know, I know it's, let me just escape. If you go to image, size, if it's bigger than like the size of a piece of paper, it's probably too big, and then you're going to want to crop it. We're doing that with the next one though. So this one I'm actually okay with the size. I just want to draw something on it. So custom shape, here I go. I find the arrow. Now wait, hold up. Before I draw it, I want to make sure I pick a color that's actually going to stand out on this. So I've already gone ahead and picked a yellow out of here. You can go and choose different color families and all this stuff, right? You just take the foreground color. The background color is a little different, but foreground color, that's all we're dealing with right now. I want it to be yellow, so now I'm ready to draw an arrow. So take your mouse, click it, drag it out, point it at the thing, let go of it. Sweet, you got an arrow, okay? If you don't draw it right the first time, you will have to unlock this layer and right click and rasterize it in order to be able to move it around with the move tool here. See? Okay? But if you just kind of click about as far away as you want to be and then point it right at the thing, you're going to be fine. And then once you get the arrow, you just go to save for web and devices. Actually, this is a JPEG. You could pretty much just go save. Okay? Well, no. Then it's going to want to save a Photoshop file. Once you create something that adds a layer, you're going to want to go to save for web and devices, because then you can adjust the level of quality you have, and you can make the file as small as you can without it starting to look bad. So see, if I go to low, see what happens. The colors start to look pretty crappy, and maximum it's going to look perfect. So I just always keep going down from maximum until, see, it just started to get grainy on high, and I don't like that graininess. It makes it look cheap. So I want to make sure that all my stuff looks good without graininess. So I'm going to go to very high, and I'm going to save it, and I'm just going to save it right over top of the other one on the desktop. I don't want the old one anymore. I got one now. Called Grade Transfer Snip. So JPEG high. Okay, there we go. And it must have made, it didn't copy over the other one because it must have made that one a GIF. If you need to know file properties, right click. Oh no, it made a PNG. Wow, cool. PNG is actually a higher quality file, but a JPEG will be a bit smaller. JPEG, PNG, GIF, all of these are acceptable file types. All right. Now, so that was neat. Now I can use that. I could stick it in a Word document. I could PDF the Word document, and then I have this little thing that says, here it is. Here's where you guys go. Just like that, and it points at it and everything. So I've enhanced the snippet. Remember this one? Okay, we pasted it in from the clipboard pretty much, because when you do a screenshot with a key, and I talked about the reasons why we'd use that in lieu of the snipping tool, you have it on the clipboard, so you have to paste it in somewhere, and then even once you paste it in, you can't really save it. It's kind of buried in the temp folder somewhere. So if you want to save this as a JPEG, you have to get into a program that'll save it as a JPEG, and luckily we all have access to Photoshop, and if you don't, you would have Microsoft Photo Editor. You should have that in accessories probably. It's in here somewhere. I don't want to make this video too long, but live photo gallery. I'm pretty sure you guys would have some kind of photo editing something in your computer if you didn't have Photoshop. But like I said, it's free. You should go get it. So I'm going to put this back on the clipboard just as if I just made it, and I'm going to go and create a new file in Photoshop to put it into. Now you know how big your screen is, right? My screen right now is 1024 by 768. Okay, I went over this in one of my Captivate videos, screen resolution. All right, so I'm going to go and make my file that size, and then when I paste this thing in there, see it was even a bit smaller than that. So, and the reason for that is probably because, I'm glad this happened actually, probably because when I pasted into Word, it shrunk. It needed to be shrunken down. So I should be able to make it bigger without losing the resolution. But once you paste it into Photoshop, you can't just drag it out and make it bigger. So ideally, what I should be doing is from the beginning, when I have Dreamweaver open, okay, let me just step back on this. So we got the blank spot, we got it ready to go, okay, with Dreamweaver open, and I want to take that little chunk out of that menu, and this is how I did this for us, okay, on our keyboard page. This is how I got this. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to go into the menu so we can see all those shortcuts and stuff, and I'm going to go Shift, Print Screen, okay? Then I'm just going to go into Photoshop and paste. See how much bigger it is now? It's exactly the same size as the space I put in there, okay? Couple different ways to crop this, because we don't want all this. We just want this little chunk, just to show the example of what I'm talking about. You can use the crop tool, and you can drag it out over that, and then just hit Enter, okay? Or you can actually use the selector tool, which you can do it much more. I want to include the little Dreamweaver logo in there. It's much easier to be exact with the selector tool. It's more accurate. The only difference is you have to go into the image menu and hit crop from there. So there's one extra step. So then once I have that, I can save for web and devices as a JPEG, and now I've got this little chunk of a full-size screenshot I can use the same way I did for the snippet. If you wanted to further enhance this, I'll do one more enhancement here with an arrow. Okay, I'm not going to do the box thing. That's actually more of an intermediate level thing. I'm going to do the arrow again, and I'm just going to draw it and point at the stuff. Good enough. Save for web and devices, okay? And you've made another cool looking image that will be much more user friendly for online learning purposes. All right, and that is how you would enhance your snippet or screenshot. Okay, so what we covered here, you're looking at it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.